Madame la Présidente, Excellence, we are witnessing in Syria today a relative reduction in large-scale hostilities and indiscriminate attacks, with the 5th March ceasefire in Idlib largely holding. However, Syrians are not any safer and they continue to suffer gross human rights violations by all the actors controlling territory. While well-documented violations such as arbitrary detention, enforced disappearance, torture, and death in custody continue unabated, newer forms of violations with sectarian undertones are increasing, including target killings, looting, and appropriation of property. We are also seeing more incidents of sexual and gender-based violence. Across government-held areas, for this report, we documented 45 cases of enforced disappearance, 13 cases of torture, and 19 deaths in detention. Continuing to repress people by keeping them incommunicado, detention in abhorrent conditions and torturing them amounts to crimes against humanity. The government security apparatus continues to violate residents' civil, economic, political, and social rights, particularly in areas previously held by non-state and terrorist groups. Checkpoints block residents from making a living by selling goods or crops elsewhere, and even from seeking health care. An opaque security mark system prevents people from owning or even renting a home. The constant threat of arbitrary detention stifles freedom of movement. The barriers to the return of refugees are omnipresent. Such deliberate denial of rights of Syrians is immensely compounded by the deepening economic crisis, tightening sanctions, and COVID-19, which is now rapidly spreading across Syria, with numbers much higher than official accounts. With a staggering 9.3 million Syrians now food insecure, we reiterate the need to ease or waive sectoral sanctions to ensure access to food, essential health supplies, and COVID-19 medical support, and to avoid further destituting an already desperate population. Blame for the suffering of the Syrian people does not rest with the government of Syria only. In Afrin, Has al-Ain, and the surrounding areas, attacks by massive IEDs and shelling claimed scores of lives. The Turkey-backed Syrian National Army, SNA, may have committed the war crimes of hostage-taking, cruel treatment and torture, and rape. Looting and property confiscation by the SNA, mainly Kurdish areas, rife. Whole communities and cultures under attack. UNESCO heritage sites have been bulldozed and looted. Alongside other neighboring countries, Turkey has been a refuge for millions of Syrians fleeing violence and a lifeline for vital humanitarian aid and support to reach millions of others in dire need inside Syria. It also plays a unique role vis-à-vis Syrian armed groups and political actors, and we encourage Turkey to utilize its position to prevent these abuses by the SNA and others, provide accountability and redress for victims, and to ensure the protection of civilians in the areas under its control. The dire picture painted in our many reports, including this latest one, prompts some to ask how we keep going. At the Commission, we and our staff witness every day the great courage and resilience of ordinary Syrians, victims and survivors, families and advocates, outsiders and insiders, who continue to struggle for basic rights and freedoms despite the very heavy toll they have borne. We are also greatly encouraged by the efforts by national authorities of many states who have exercised universal and other forms of jurisdiction in an effort to bring perpetrators to justice. This progress is quite remarkable, and we are honored to have shared the information we have gathered for specific prosecutions that may bring justice to the Syrian people. The Commission stands fully ready to continue to assist member states in this endeavor in close cooperation with the III mechanism. Beyond criminal justice, the Commission has proposed key practical steps that the international community could work towards in order to address the needs of Syrian victims and their families. A first very practical step could be to set up an international mechanism to coordinate the many efforts that are going on to collect information on estimated 100,000 missing and disappeared. Another is facilitating prisoners' release. To be detained in Syria is nearly always to be missing. Syrians need an end to incommunicado and arbitrary detention. A third is to ensure detention monitoring by an independent international organization such as the HRC or the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights in all places of detention. A fourth step could be to facilitate a moratorium on executions. 50 rule of law reforms. And last but not least, actively seek to remove obstacles to sustainable returns of the 5.6 million refugees and 6.6 million internally displaced Syrians in their homes and their ability to reclaim their property. No factor will be more important for healing internal divisions and rebuilding trust at the local level than how the government deals with issues of housing, land, and property. Thank you.